Villemure for St. Albert, Edmonton.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I will be splitting my time with the member for Wellington Halton Hills. The report of the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians with respect to foreign interference is truly shocking. The report revealed that certain members of Parliament and senators have wittingly, and I emphasize the word wittingly, engaged in supporting and assisting hostile foreign states. This includes meeting and communicating frequently with foreign diplomatic missions, sharing privileged information with foreign diplomats, and sharing information that was provided to members and senators in confidence with security officers of hostile foreign states, among other activities. It shouldn't need to be stated that the fundamental duty of every member of Parliament and senator is to put the interests of Canada first, not the interests of some other state. Any member of Parliament or senator who put the interests of a foreign state ahead of the interests of Canada have betrayed Canadians. They have betrayed the trust placed in them. They have betrayed their oath of office, and they have cast a dark cloud over the institution of Parliament and undermined public confidence that parliamentarians are advancing the interests of Canadians and not the interests of other foreign states. When the NSICOP bombshell report was released, what we have seen from the Prime Minister is a total lack of transparency. The Prime Minister has seen the unredacted NSICOP report. He knows who the compromised MPs and senators are. Indeed, it was the Prime Minister who made the final call with respect to redactions in the NSICOP report, including blacking out the names of the compromised MPs. Canadians deserve to know the names. They deserve to know who the members are sitting in the House of Commons and the Senate who are compromised. The Minister of Public Safety appeared before the Public Safety Committee last Thursday. I was there. He had an opportunity in the face of a lack of transparency from the Prime Minister to clear the air, to answer basic questions. And I have to observe how disappointed I was with the Minister who provided non-answers, who was arrogant and dismissive in the face of legitimate questions being asked by members of Parliament on behalf of Canadians. The Minister of Public Safety, of course, refused to name names, just like the Prime Minister. He refused to disclose how many MPs and senators are compromised. He refused to even provide a ballpark figure. Is it 5, 10, 20? How many are we dealing with here? How big is the problem? And tellingly, the Minister twice refused to answer the very straightforward question that I asked him, which is if he could provide the assurance that no one around the Prime Minister's cabinet table is among the compromised MPs. Twice, the Minister of Public Safety refused to answer that question, which I emphasize is telling and raises questions about whether foreign interference actors and their tentacles have extended to the highest levels of this government after 9 years of this Prime Minister. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Public Safety said that it would be irresponsible to make known to the Canadian public those MPs and senators who are compromised. I say what is irresponsible has been the total lack of transparency by the Prime Minister that has resulted in effectively shielding members of Parliament and senators who have put the interests of foreign states ahead of the interests of Canada. I say that is irresponsible. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Public Safety said that there were sensitive intelligence and national security considerations. He has a point, but only up to a limited extent. I would remind the Minister and the government that what is being asked of the government isn't to make known to the public sensitive intelligence or sources and methods. What is simply being asked of these Liberals, government, is to provide the names of the compromised MPs and senators. Just the names, please. Not MPs or senators who have conversed with or met with foreign diplomats, but rather MPs who have knowingly, willingly, and deliberately cooperated with and have assisted foreign states undermining the interests of Canada. We want to know, and Canadians want to know, who they are. And so often we see from these Liberals that they hide behind national security and intelligence issues, and then we learn that it actually has nothing to do about those things, that it has to do with protecting the interests of the Prime Minister and the Liberal Party, and to save the government from embarrassment for its many, many failings when it comes to standing against and protecting Canada's democracy and sovereignty from foreign interference. After all, we have a Prime Minister who has a very well-established and disturbing track record of turning a blind eye to foreign interference so long as it benefits him and the Liberal Party. This is a Prime Minister who turned a blind eye and covered up, until he got caught, Beijing's interference in the 2019 and 2021 elections because he thought it would benefit the Liberal Party. This is a Prime Minister who was briefed in the 2019 election that one of his candidates, the current member for Don Valley North, was being assisted by the Beijing communist regime. Upon being briefed, what did the Prime Minister do with that information? The Prime Minister did nothing. He allowed that candidate to stand as a Liberal in the 2019 election, resulting in his election to the House of Commons, and he covered it up for 4 years. Madam Justice Hogue concluded that the Prime Minister's actions in that case were based upon his concern for, quote, direct electoral consequences, close quote. In other words, it was about protecting the Prime Minister and the interests of the Liberal Party over protecting our democracy from Beijing's interference. Simply put, this Prime Minister and this government cannot be trusted. However, the good news is there is a path forward, a reasonable path forward that was set out in a letter over the weekend from the Opposition House Leader to the Minister of Public Safety. And that path forward would provide that the government turn over the intelligence and evidence in the NSCOP report to Madam Justice Hogue on an unredacted basis. Madam Justice Hogue could then review the intelligence thoroughly and make findings of fact with respect to which MPs wittingly assisted foreign states, and those findings of fact with the names of those MPs could then be put in a report that would then be tabled in Parliament. It would provide for the transparency that Canadians deserve, all the while protecting sensitive intelligence and allowing for a reasonable degree of due process in the circumstances. Madam Speaker, if it really is about protecting sensitive intelligence and national security, if that's all it's about, then this government should turn over the evidence to Madam Justice Hogue. And if these Liberals fail to do so, there's only one conclusion that can be drawn, and that is that once again the Prime Minister is protecting himself, the Liberal Party, and potentially compromised Liberal MPs. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions